Trying to keep it away.
We tried. Yeah. Yeah.
August 7th. Study by groups. Yeah.
Evening, we'll call the regular city of White Lakes Council meeting of May 13th, 2024 to order. Roll call please.
Scott.
Here.
Beauregard.
Here.
Graham. Here. Kramer. Zins.
Here. Everybody please stand. Next item is consent agenda. Everybody have a chance to look at the consent agenda. There's still, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Councilor Graham, is there support?
Support.
Supported by Councilor Beauregard. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Guest and citizen. Anybody wants to get up and address the council, please do so now. Once the meeting starts, we will take comments. Please state your name and address.
Council, great to see everybody. I have some of my people here. White Lake started having people move in September of 1954. It's been 70 years that there have been people that have been able to say, I'm from White Lakes. So one of the things I would like to ask is to be on the agenda for the May 28th meeting. So we can make a presentation not only for commemorating the 70 years, but also this brand new town, brand new people, brand new jobs. The first pioneers, if you will, the first residents of White Lakes. So they'll be able to come in the water carnival and say, hey, that's where we live. And they can actually put their marker right on the big board, but that'll be part of the presentation. We'll be asking for some money, just modest amount for materials. But we would love to have you guys say, yeah, this is a great idea. We should have thought about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
I got a question, is that the place to ask you? Well, I'm wearing two hats today. First one is me. My name's Ron Nates, I live in White Lakes, 248 Kent. Almost 3 years ago, I got a letter from Becky stating there's lots for sale behind Leeds. You can purchase them for $1,000. 2 days later, I went down and paid for them. Almost 3 years ago, does this person still work for you guys? It hasn't happened. The survey happened in a year. Still no lots. What's going on?
I can address that. Yeah, so White Lakes, all the real property in White Lake is called Torrance property. Title of the real estate is held in two different ways. There's either the traditional, we call the abstract way, where the chain of title for real estate is laid out in an abstract title. A lot of property has basically transformed over to what they call Torrance title. Whereas with Torrance title, you actually get a certificate of title for the real estate, much like you would get a certificate of title for your vehicle. The problem with the Torrens, title system is that, when it comes to transferring titles to real estate, it gets very complicated. So while there's some advantages to having the Torrens title system, there's also some disadvantages in that it's very cumbersome to be able to transfer or convey a property from one party to another. So basically what happened was with those lots, and leads, what we call leads lots, the back lots. We had the engineering firm for the city a couple years ago, they had actually done for basically each back lot that corresponds with one of the platted lots. They did what's called a meets and bounds legal description for every one of those lots.
Yeah, I watched them do it.
Yep, and then what we were gonna do was we were gonna use those meets and bounds descriptions to then, those would be the actual legal descriptions to then deed the corresponding back lot to the front lot owner. So when we attempted to do that with the first one, we got rejected by the St. Louis County Registrar's Office. And they said, we're not gonna allow you to basically convey the property in that manner. What you're gonna actually have to do is you're gonna have to do essentially what's called a registered land survey, or basically similar to a plat, where you're gonna actually have to plat the backlot area. And then instead of having what are called meets and bounds legal descriptions for each backlot, you have to then, basically designate a certain lot number for each one of those. So basically what happened was, all the survey work had to go back to the engineering firm, because the good news is they've done a lot of the basic legwork to get this, basically this registered land survey or quasi plat laid out. But the engineering firm has to now do they have to go a different direction with it. So they're working on that now. Then what has to happen is, once that registered land survey or quasi plat is done, we then have to then send that into the St. Louis County Registrar's Office for approval. And then what'll happen is, once they officially approve that, they will then issue certificates of title for each one of those backlots to the city. Then we'll hold the certificates of title, and then we can start officially conveying those to the front lot owners who are interested in buying their backlot. So the problem is that when we get into real estate things like this, unfortunately, it takes a very long time to get through that process. And so we're in process, we're working on it. We're, hopefully gonna get some work in the engineering firm here soon, if this is done, and then it'll be ready to go.
So you're talking another 3 years.
We're hoping it's not another 3, but I think we're gonna be within a number
I
of
might
months.
be down tomorrow to get my money back.
Can I have questions?
Yeah.
So you're saying that people bought these lots, paid money for it, was designated a spot, and years later, they still don't own the land? Cause all I was hearing was a whole lot of words that wasn't really.
Now, they brought their money in to get the property.
Because didn't it state for $1,000 you can buy this lot? Wasn't that the original thing?
Well, the intent of the city is to still go ahead and convey those to.
But how many years does it take for somebody if you pay for something that you bought, you own it, don't you?
Not until the city grants you the deed. So actually, we attempted to do it with one of the first owners who was interested in buying. And we got rejected by the registrar's office because they're gonna require us to go through this entire process of having to essentially plat out those lots.
Okay, so the first
So-
person was rejected, but you still collected from others
So
that were looking to buy
I
it?
don't know who we collected. So we're just in the process of trying to get the legal description, what's gonna work. So,
Okay, so
I mean, if you don't wanna wait, you can get your money back. It's perfectly fine.
How do the taxes get paid on that? Are they being,
The land is owned by the city.
it's owned by the city?
Yeah.
So he doesn't have
He
ownership
isn't
of
paying
it?
taxes on
He
it.
doesn't own anything.
The only people that can buy those back lots are the people that own the front lots.
Own the corresponding front, right? So, if you don't wanna wait any longer, you certainly get a refund of your money from the.
Plus interest. Plus interest.
Yeah, maybe look at him, it's like 3 years.
Isn't there lots up there behind Leeds that are already got buildings and stuff on it?
Those are
There were
different
some-
lots. so
Yeah,
they-
there were some lots that were conveyed years ago.
Yeah, so what seems to be the problem there?
Hey,
This is like, everything here.
Larry, come on, talk, stand up to the podium.
No, I'm good.
Okay,
Just don't make sense.
It's, it's basically up to the registrar's office on how they require us to convey title to those properties. So the original way we intended on doing it was rejected by the registrar's office. There's nothing we can do about it. It's up to the St. Louis County Registrar's office. Because the real property in the city.
But these other lots were okay to.
That was years ago.
Yeah, now,
Okay,
things should be run like years ago.
well, it's all more control.
county changed. All right, anybody else?
I'm back. This month, I was here about a month ago and inquired about Carroll County at 254 Kent, regarding the, basketball court, and I was supposed to get an update. And I was just wondering what has happened on that.
Yeah, I can address you there.
Okay.
I was on the phone with them today. Masadi Bituminous is the contractor who's going to be coming into town, doing a majority of the blacktop work down there on the Water Hartwell Midway area. At that same time, they will be installing the basketball court where the council chose on the corner of Westover and Andover.
Okay, so that it has,
You'll see within this week, that area will be staked out, the sod will be stripped off. And before they come in, they're gonna lay down some, what they call petrol mat to help with frost heaving. Covering the surface in about 8 inches of gravel and paving the lot. We still have the basketball hoops that were removed from the lot, the basketball court where the dollar store is now.
right,
And those will be reinstalled after paving is done.
okay, I appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah. My name is Steve House, I'm a resident of White Lakes, I'm a retired fireman, I have a question about, something proposed about limiting who can apply to, or to get on the fire department, if you have a relative on the fire department, you're not gonna be able to.
That's a nepotism policy, and that's regarding all city employees.
Is that something
That's something we're gonna discuss as a council tonight.
oh,
It's on the agenda.
well, I just wanna give my opinion.
Okay.
You have 13 current firefighters and you can have up to 25. And you don't have a big lineup of people looking to get on the fire department, and by limiting people, limiting who you can take on the fire department, I don't think that's gonna be detrimental to the city. And it's gonna cause a proper, or, insurance rates to go up if we lose the classification on what, on our fire department. And past history, I was the ambulance director for a number of years, and I had my son and my wife both on, I was supervising both of them. We did many calls in the middle of the night, couldn't get anyone else to go. And I don't know, I think by having a relative like that, you hold them to a higher standard, if nothing else. I think that's detrimental to the city to have a nepotism policy. My opinion.
Thank you for your comment.
My name is Dave Jarbola. I'm a resident of White Lakes, 227 Arlington. Like Steve, I'm retired from the fire department also. And my question on what he was talking about was, where did this policy idea begin? How did it originate? Where did it come from?
It originated with the, police department. We opened up, applications for sergeant position. And we have a husband and wife, both working for the department. And we have the East Range Public Safety Board that oversees the police department. And they felt uncomfortable if one oversaw the other. And that's where the nepotism policy came into place. And when we did it with the police department, we thought we should look at it for the city also. So that's where it all began.
So that the idea originated with the city council then.
It originated with the East Range Public Safety Board.
But I mean to transfer that to the fire department.
It was, yeah, it was looked at that maybe we need to look at it
Okay.
citywide as to, if we're gonna do it with the police department, do we just do it to them, or do we look at it as a city? policy. So we did some research on it, and we'll be discussing it.
I've talked about that subject with other people, and there's a lot of folks that feel the way I do, that it's a poor idea. That's been going on in the fire department since day one. And I think you guys have to reconsider it, please.
Thank you.
My name is Linda Stokes. I want to address the husband and wife issue of being a supervisor. I was on the fire department for 20 years, and for 15 of those years, my husband, Steve Stokes, was my boss. Was that an issue? Absolutely not. Ask anybody if that was an issue. You're going to hurt your department by adopting this policy. If you look, EMT and volunteers, it runs in families. It's family. If you look at other departments, are you going to be forced to adopt this policy, or is it your choice?
Are they being forced on? It's a city council.
So it would be your choice.
A city council decision.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, you do that, you're gonna affect many, many individuals that are on the department that are family members. My son was on the department for a while, he is now out in Mackinac. I am not the only family member that was on the department. Like Steve said, your former mayor, Chris Freeland, and his wife, Ann was the ambulance director. I mean, no problem, no issues. You guys really need to think about this. You don't have line of people coming in.
Nothing has passed yet.
You just need to think.
I don't think it's too funny, Dave.
I said nothing has passed.
Get that smirk off your face.
Oh. I wasn't smirking.
Yeah, you were.
No, I wasn't.
You were all entitled to our own opinion, but I think we can talk about it rationally. I mean, it's on the agenda as a draft to be discussed. It is not determined yet, so that's why we're here to talk about it together and find out what you guys feel and what we think is the right thing to do. There's been no decisions made. It's a
We
draft.
can't talk during the meetings, we have to say it now.
Yes, that's why I want to hear what you guys have to say now. Like Ed is up here. Ed's been on there for a long time. We'd love to hear what they have to say about it then.
Good.
My name is Ed Casey. I'm a retired fireman. And that sounds good, what you just said there. We're always the last ones to hear about after you people have run something through. It's usually too late. You should have been here or whatever. But anyhow, I echo the same sentiments that my previous firefighters talked about. If you want to destroy a fire department, this is exactly the way you're going to do it. Like Linda said, we're short of members the way it was. 2 years ago, we just about folded on a convent. Now they're getting people to come in anyhow. But when you put, this is ridiculous. I don't even know why we're discussing it really. With a capital R in it, it's ridiculous. My gosh, just a good way of destroying our fire department. And what's the benefit the city's gonna get out of this? Can you explain that? Where's the one benefit you're gonna receive? There isn't any. It's gonna be detriment. So please reconsider. And I heard that maybe it was from somebody higher up. It wasn't you people. I couldn't believe it was coming from our city after all these firemen done all these years. You were proud of this department. Reconsider and drop it. So I can say, I hope you consider that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Anybody else?
One quick question, Dave. What meeting is this on the agenda for? Tonight, okay.
Can I ask a question? Is this gonna apply across the board for all city employees?
Yes.
So,
This isn't directed at the fire department. This is directed at the city employees.
so if you look at the definition of nepotism, it's family, friends,
Associates.
associates, all that, so anybody that's in a position in the city that has a relative working for the city, it would apply to as well?
It's strictly in the supervisor law, so.
Nepotism doesn't say, though, it just says.
But the problem is when you have leadership over, there could be special treatment or something like that.
Who determines the salaries of the firemen?
The health.
Okay, so who determines who gets called out on calls?
Dispatch?
Okay, so really, what authority does the chief have or the administrator have over the rest of the fire department? Isn't she just there, or he is just there to make sure the department's running smoothly? That's just a question.
All right. Okay, I just gotta understand this, because I don't wanna get irritated by it at all. Are you guys not in charge of everyone? No? Okay, so you're saying that,
The policies, but we're not in charge of everything.
who makes the decisions on raises? Is that a supervisor that comes up and says, my employee needs a raise, or is it the council?
We have bargaining units within the city.
But what I don't understand is okay, nepotism is a real vague term, all right? It does include your family, your friends, and just like they said, anyone, your associates. We're in a small town here, you guys. But the thing that you're saying is that the problem we're having is if you're a supervisor over somebody you're related to, is that exactly what we're pinpointing this to? Just so I understand it clearly, because when I read the thing, I didn't quite understand. If you're a supervisor and someone works for you, that is the only problem we have with nepotism?
To a certain extent, yes, that's what, I mean, if you.
And how many situations do we have that this falls for? A lot? One or two? I mean, I don't understand that all of a sudden something became so huge that seems to have really caused a disturbance in the town. And is it just one or two, or is it a big problem? In a small community, you're gonna have family related issues. But all I'm asking is this a big problem, or is it a one or two thing? I don't know. And whether you guys can answer me or not, I'm not sure either. I don't know how big of a deal it is.
I can't answer about the fire department because Steve never gave me a raise.
And held you to a higher standard.
All right, anybody else? Moving on to, reports from staff, city administrator.
Nothing tonight, thank you, Mayor.
Library director, Sue.
We have a lot of events happening this month. Tomorrow we have the third grade classes coming over to visit. They're visiting all the businesses in the area. So we have them coming to the library. We're excited for that. Wednesday evening at 6 p.m. we have a chat with the chief session. So come on down. He's opening up to questions you might have, or just come and say hello. K9 unit is also going to be there, so you can meet them. Cody and Tack. Tack's a sweetheart, so we're welcoming down just to meet them. Thursday, we have at 10 o'clock, ankle bracelet, beads. May 23rd, we have a legacy program, farm girls tour at 3:30. On May 28th, we have our second session to Hello Range. That's for the new residents, and coming in, there's a light dinner. It's put on by Hello Range, led by Miriam Carroll. And that's for newer residents in the community, which is Iron Range. She's fantastic, and they're going to be discussing gardening, what kind of plants grow in this area. So I think you're actually going to plant some things. So she'll be a lot of fun. And then June 3rd is the kickoff to our summer program, and we'll be having outdoor kickoff with, Speak City vehicles there, bounce house, tie dyeing, obstacle course. They'll be starting our summer reading program, so we're hoping to break the record again this year. Last year we broke the all-time record, we had 150 kids participating, we'd like to do it again, so. You see any kids out there? Shoot, or more. Thank you.
Thanks. Public Works Director Smith.
Yeah, so at Public Works, in the past couple of weeks, we've got the campground up and running, which is open for the season right now. Pretty much everything's taken care of down there. We're still doing some more cleanup from last September's big windstorm that took down a lot of trees. People are encouraged, if they are camping down there, to go ahead and clean any of it and burn it themselves in their fire rings. Work will be taking place, as I said earlier, down at the Midway area. The remainder of that project will be completed here soon. And we're doing some additional work down to that area as well. We are installing a disc golf course, which is something new for town. It's gonna start on the corner across the street from the Lucky Seven, go around the lighted baseball field, all the way down to the beach and back, ending at the tennis courts near that same parking lot. So that's something new for town that'll be started here soon. Other than that, we'll be turning on anybody who's involved with the community garden or up at the cemetery. We've held off on turning any of the water on there because of the cool temps we're still getting at night, but that'll be turned on this week and we'll be up and running then.
Okay, thanks, Ken. Public Works or Utilities Director, David?
All right, we'll start with the Minnesota DNR. So we moved out of the drought watch phase, so we're in non-drought, so that's good. Hopefully the rain persists due to the dry winter we had. No restrictions there. Had a chlorine line blow at the wastewater plant. Basically the water supply got clogged up with organics. We cleaned the tank recently, new equipment, did the thing to check the filter in there. So repaired a line in there, got that up and running, that's running good. As everyone hopefully has seen, I got the 2023 Consumer Confidence Report available. You should be able to see that on the city website or waiting for approval from the Department of Health to run one more pilot study on the 15567 chemical we've been feeding. That's coming in at 39 cents a pound, which is about 2/3 the cost of what we're currently doing for the treatment chemical. We want to test it out one more time now that the colors have gone up, just to verify it's still working. It's been a year for inspections, the state must have caught up. Minnesota Department of Health just came through the water plant, didn't go too bad, had to relocate a few tanks in the chemical room, talked about what we may do in the future, looking at the possibility of new water plant, joining with Aurora, or refurbishing what we got. Talked about the water lines, I'm gonna have to go do an inventory of the entire water system, count the valves, how old they are, how many inches of, how many feet of water line we have, that kind of stuff, so I'll be busy with that. Bolton and Mink will be taking over the lead service line inventory. You can please send emails of your service lines to me. I'll still transfer that over to them, but they will probably be sending people door to door in June for those who haven't turned in a photo, or if you've been waiting, they'll come get the photo for you. They'll have badges, they'll coordinate with the PD and all that, so there'll be notifications, you don't have to worry about who's coming to your door. MPCA came in and inspected the wastewater plant. We finally got our compliance review on that. We had 3 minor violations. One is for the overflow last year. There's no corrective action for that. The second one is for thermometers we have in our sampler coolers. Apparently, we're supposed to recalibrate them or get new ones every year. So I sent her in an SOP job procedure on how we're gonna hold those records and replace our thermometers until we can find a cost-effective way to recalibrate thermometers. It's a new one for me. And then got on Bolton and Mink, they gotta send them as-built drawings, and then we're good as far as that inspection goes.
You guys have noticed JR Wastewater's in town, they're cleaning, they went through Dorchester, Guilford, going down Suffolk. They're they hit Viking Drive today, and they're also gonna hit a good chunk in Dorchester. I didn't say that already. Then the other company I have in town is Quality Flow, they come through annually to go through our lift stations, make sure those are running good. They're also gonna be refurbishing or redoing the lift station at the golf course. That'll be happening tomorrow for the golf course. So you guys will see that in town for about 3 days, then they'll be all here. And then hydrant flushing starts on May 20th. So the week of May 20th usually takes us a week, maybe 2, depending on what's going on, so. That's all I got. Jake, can you explain it like one more time about that main water line coming into the home? The picture.
Oh,
Why we're having to do that? Yeah, so that's coming from the EPA, which then comes down on the Department of Health. And what they're requesting is we get a picture for identification of the service line coming into the home. We know it's copper. The problem I'm having is I don't have any paperwork from the 50s that state exactly what kind of service line was put in the homes. And I have to be able to prove that to the Department of Health, and they gotta prove it to the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, they're federal. So that's why I'm requesting pictures. Some people, because of the corrosion, the pipe's being there so long, I'm asking you to sand the pipe just so I can see the metal. You don't have to do a huge section, just enough so the picture shows, yeah, that's copper, because that's what you're gonna have. But that's all we're asking for there. See the floor, see the pipe, see the first valve.
So we take a picture, who we send it to?
You can send it directly to my email address.
Okay.
You can send it to utilities@hoytlakes.com. That'll work. I can transfer the photo, but like I said, Bolton and I can be sending the information out to you guys too. They have a website. I've just been forwarding that on to. Plus, I'm keeping a database myself just in case something happens.
so every house.
So either the homeowner gets every house, every house, every.
What did we get something that we were, in the mail that we missed? I did.
So that's something funny that happened. I was waiting on this. We knew about this a year ago, and we were also told at the same time that don't worry about it, because we're gonna grant your engineering firm or whoever you work with the ability to come in and do it, and they'll do it free of cost. So I waited. Pretty soon, everyone around me was getting approved, and I had a deadline to meet. So my deadline is August 15th. I didn't want to start this in July and be scrambling, because it's a big project, because I gotta get your parcel ID number off of the state website. I gotta go through and get your house number, see the classification, describe what we found when we inspected it, and include a picture. Now that I started it, I sent out letters to just over half the town, and now it's like, okay, we'll give your engineering firm time to, or we'll give them the approval to get it. So that's where we're at now. That's why half of you have seen a letter and the other half haven't. So rather than spend the extra money, wait for Bolton and Bank to come in and pick it up. So, yes, everyone is now allowed to send a picture of it. Thanks, Jake. EMS Director Olmsted.
Casey's got a question for you.
Oh, sure.
Can I go back to the water for just a second?
Yeah.
I live in Colby Ridge out there, and every unit is, copper filter. Does everybody have to crawl under there and give you a picture, or?
No.
I know there are some people that
So-
can't get on.
So the lead service line rule was passed in 1985, so any house built after 1985 is automatically, you guys are safe, because they weren't allowed to use lead lines after that was passed. So they're using 1986 as their guideline, anyone January 1st, 1986 and on, you're in the clear. So everyone at Colby Ridge is in the clear. Patriots Way, you're in the clear, but Viking Drive, there's some houses that were built in the 70s and stuff, so a lot of Viking Drive people still have to have photos. Anyone else? You're up.
Okay, Tomorrow, we also have the third grade coming, for a tour, as well as the fire department. Last week, we attended Career Day at the high school. Cody and myself have one more set of clinicals to do, and we will be completed with our community paramedic program. So we'll be looking at, working with Essentia on starting that program. And then so far this year, we're at 323 runs for the year.
Fire chief House.
We had 4 fire calls in April. We, just so everyone knows, the Forest Service is burning on the Moose Line, 91 acres today. So that's what all the smoke is. That's,
That was what the big green trucks were coming through town.
yeah, they started about 10 o'clock this morning. They'll be on there today and tomorrow, so. Nothing to be alarmed of. We have one applicant that we'll interview for hopefully in the next couple weeks.
For fire?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. City Attorney Ronco.
Nothing to report.
Mitch, do you have an update on the lease for?
We're still waiting. I'll have it on an agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, reports from the officials, Council Reynolds,
Nothing to report tonight.
Council Borger.
I just wanted to say thank you to those community members that came out and helped with cleanup on Wednesday. We had a few people there. It's nice to see people get involved and a little bit less work for the city employees to have to do. I know the Snowmobile Club is working a few times. They've gone out to pick up trash along the trail. I think they also did the Back Bay Road. So nice to get them involved as well. So just thank you for those that helped.
Thank you, Council Scott.
Nothing to report.
Last week Becky and I sat down with, Peter Lucavina and Whitney Midland. Had a discussion about some of the projects that we have going on in town. It was a good discussion where they thought they could help financially, what they could do. What resources were available to us. So going forward, I think it was a good meeting, gave us some ideas. That's all I have. Okay, moving on, Penn One Birchwood Terrace Park update.
Last meeting, the city council requested that we, ask for information from the owner on a deadline. He kind of did not give us any deadline. Just wanted to know in general if that's something the council would be interested in and what kind of timeline you'd be looking at for approval.
Personally, I'd like to know what our financing options are and what the cost and all that would be before we can get into kind of.
Do you want to make a motion to direct the administrator to investigate funding options?
Yes, I think that should.
Okay, motion made by Councilor Beauregard, is there support?
And that's just to look into it, not to.
Right, just to look at if there's any funding available. You know, second, okay. Second by Councilor Scott, is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 10-2, city administrative clerk position.
So we had interviews, we selected 6 for interviews, 3 responded. The top candidate did withdraw their name, they had another full-time job opportunity. And the other 2 candidates, we felt did not score high enough to be offered the position. And so I know in the packet, I indicated that I request that you repost the position. But one of the summer kids who are on the list later on to hire, recently had an injury and would be unable to work for Public Works until about midsummer or so. And so my request is that we pay her out of the clerk's office to do those special projects that we really want to get on for this person. And then once she goes to Public Works, we look at reposting the position.
Can I question this? Are we allowed to ask on these things?
No, this is council discussion.
As a summer student, be a high schooler.
I believe she's in her first year of college.
Oh. So is there like certain like qualifications she would need to do the work before we just leave?
It's data entry.
Oh.
Do you wanna make a motion?
Didn't know about that, but I was gonna ask anyways, if we could just hire another summer person to help with this position instead of reposting it anyways, but.
Yeah, and I think, you know, if that's acceptable to the council, that'll really get us, the big thing we have in front of us is the cemetery project. And so we're digitizing all of our records and getting it online for better access for the public. But we have to type all that stuff in. And so getting it from one system to another, and so all the back end notes, everything like that has to get typed in, and there's probably 2,500 pages worth of data that needs to get typed in, so I think that will give us a really good handle on this project. If we have her in and working on that for a few weeks at least.
So with the summer student, they didn't do an interview or receive any sort of scoring?
No, they didn't apply for this position, they applied for Mullen Public Works.
I guess it's just, to me, that sounds a bit unfair. There's these two other people that had applied for it and did interviews, and this person didn't do an interview, and didn't get any sort of scoring, and then just automatically gets the position.
I wouldn't hire them for the administrative clerk position, it'd just be like a summer student
Oh.
labor in our office, it wouldn't be this particular position. And then we repost for this position and see what applicants we got. Yeah. When we look at the other candidates out of the 6 that were chosen to be interviewed, on the 3 that commented, would we reach out to those again, or would we just let everybody apply?
We just repost. Right?
Yeah, I guess I would rather use one of the summer hires, give them something to do until they can get back into their physical aspect of the public works, and then if we repost this to actually fill the position. Once they're done, then find someone.
Will this data migration allow us to move away from the older systems?
Yes, it'll allow us to decommission all the servers.
Any further discussion? Motion to hire now?
We can just hire her as part of the later motion, and I'll just put mark this as informational now.
All right. Moving on to 10-3 Midway area renovation.
As promised, in front of you is the Midway area renovation. I don't want to call this an absolute final project list, but it's pretty close. I have spoken to the Water Carnival Committee about the increased cost for the decorative bar area, and so they are going to consider that at their next meeting. Instead of donating $10,000 and donating that $12,400. I've also spoken to DIRRR. We are on their agenda for the grant for the 28th, meeting on May 28th for that. I've also spoken with New Range Copper Nickel, and they are also willing to donate to the project. They don't have a firm amount at this point in time. And so that's why that line is blank on your sheet. And so I would be looking for approval to move forward with the items listed. And if those change, I would come back to the council in inform.
Is there a motion to approve the requested project items as presented?
Yeah, with the additional money from the IRRR to complete some of these projects, I make a recommendation, continue on with it.
Motion made by Councilor Grant, is there support? Supported by Council Board, or any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 11.1 is the special events permit application.
And so we have kind of a, 3 three agenda items for the Water Carnival Committee. The first one is that special event permit that is required for any events taking place within the city. The second is a temporary liquor license, and then the third, I believe, Dan will come up and speak about the in-kind services.
We want to do all three at once?
Nope.
Just one at a time. Okay, so special events permit application for the White Lakes Water Carnival Committee. Is there a motion to approve it?
I'll make a motion.
Motion made by Councilor Scott, is there support?
I'll support.
Supported by Council Borger. Is there any further discussions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. 11.2 is application permit for 1 day to 4 day temporary on sale liquor license. The White Lakes Water Carnival Committee, is there a motion to approve?
Make that motion?
Motion made by Council Borger, is there support? All support that? Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
So the last thing I think the water carnival is come down every year. My name is Dan Darble. It's that time of year again. The water carnival is only about 9-10 weeks away. Again, this year the committee has been meeting and working all year, bringing the festival to our citizens like always. This is our 69th annual water carnival. Some of the new events for the public this year is we're trying to do a lot more with the kids and kids events. We keep trying every year. We've got circus tricks and side shows all throughout the weekend. We've got kids events and cardboard races. Casper the Spectacular, who's a balloon artist and juggling. Other things are car cruise events. We've got acrobats. We've got mini golf, a pickleball tournament. I'm glad to say we're bringing back the Firemen's Olympics after all the years. So that's going to be, I think, very well received. Steve Shearing's got a lot of credit with that. There's a lot of other more events planned, you know, including the golf tournament, the 5K race, softball, parade, the large fireworks display, and many outstanding top-notch bands. The one concern, and I will get with Chief Sewers, and we've dealing with some of the committee members, is we almost had a couple mishaps last year with the parade, with the way we block off the roads, and I know Chief Sewell and I, we've been doing this a long time, and we kind of have a system, but we just have to get either more people or close some roads off earlier. What happens when we close this town, we close this off first, and they're driving right into where the parade is setting, or we accept this off, and it's just the opposite, and we've got to be a little bit more synchronized. So I'll talk with Tim about that, and we'll get it done. But there was almost a couple bad things that happened last year, so we'll be on top of that. Next year is our 70th, and just to let everybody know, we are in the midst and infant stages of planning, I'd say, a really big water carnival for the 70th. And you'll learn more about that as we go on through the year. All this wouldn't happen if it wasn't for the hard work of our committee and the volunteers it takes to put on the water carnival. With that said, an important part is the in-kind services the city provides, such as law enforcement, setting up first responders, garbage cleanup, and other things. So what I'm here, like every year, is to ask the city to continue the long tradition of providing the in-kind services that have been provided to us. And with that, I'll take any questions if there's any. Can you have one?
Did you already reach out to all the supervisors, like, Colleen and Mel, that you do the entire, like, helping out what they usually do? Looks like you
I
said.
think there's a list that is
There's a letter.
provided to you. It should be in your packet with all of those kinds of things.
It was sent to them.
Yeah, we got it. We brought that up at the business meeting.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'll make a motion to provide the in-kind service.
Yeah, motion been made by Councilor Scott, is there support? I'll support that. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, 11.4, Sarah. Your kettle? Hope I said that right? Close enough?
Close enough. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and council members. My name is Sarah Chiquetto. I work for the St. Louis and Lake Counties Regional Railroad Authority, and we are developing the Mesabi Trail. In 2015, this council requested to be connected to the Mesabi Trail corridor. At the time, we couldn't do it. We didn't have enough of the main plan trail finished to make that happen. But now that we're only about 10 miles away from finishing that trail, we'd like to make this connection happen. We already have funding in the form of a TA grant from the state, and we have CRP funding also from the state. So we're about 2/3 of the way fully funded on this. And we are just asking for your input and support for making this connection. I have in front of me a map of our preferred routes. I don't know how to show it to you because it's kind of a large poster, but that's my request is that we have your support and we kind of approve a route to come into town.
So are you asking just for the city support behind the project, or are you asking for funding?
Not for funding, for support
Just for
and for the
support.
route. We need to know where you would like to see the route. We have an option of coming along the north side of Highway 110. Effectively from the Partridge River Bridge, where the county has already said we can use that shoulder through there on the north side. We kind of hop up into a lake property and we'd like to go through the city of Hoyt Lake's property behind the Country Inn and Suites. Kind of between where the East Range multi-use trail goes and the highway, so kind of off the major ATV, OHV route, and then come in at your community center.
Is it possible to get these emails to me, then I can disperse them to the council, and they can make a decision at the next meeting?
Absolutely. And then just so you know, the two grants that I mentioned, the TA grant and the CRP funding grant, they expire in 2026, so we have to move this project quickly. So right now we're starting some environmental studies on our preferred route. That's not necessarily saying that this route is set in stone. It's just that we had to start moving forward with some of the documentation.
And you said this is between the main highway and the ATV trail, so this has no impact on the current ATV trail system or?
Correct.
Well, if you could get us, the diagram sent, and then Becky can get it out, and we can see it, and I'm sure we'll get our support, and why not, so.
And then one more comment from the historic shelter we have there. We can connect across the highway so that the bike trail can connect to your campground bike trails also.
Sounds good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
All right, 11.5, anti-net vision policy.
As we stated earlier, this was developed for the East Range Police Department. The city of Aurora passed this nepotism policy at their meeting last week, obviously just the name change on it. And so it's in front of this council to determine what they would like to do. I think there's definitely some, discussion that would need to be had. I know this is, a citywide policy. It's not strictly for the fire department, EMS department, but there are a lot of factors to consider in those departments based on just the history of families interacting and working together, and it has proven to be successful. There hasn't been a lot of issues, but this day and age, we're always looking to watch the legalities in the background, but I think there's a lot of thought that needs to be put into it and consider all the different aspects before we would approve anything.
I wrote something out that I'd like to share, a little bit if you will speak to that a little bit.
So while I understand the reasoning for anti-nepotism policies, I don't think the way in which this current policy is written is acceptable as it is far too broad. Additionally, it doesn't provide any sort of workarounds for current employees and future employees who have or will have relatives working for the city. No policy should be blanketed across all cities and municipalities. I ran for council to do what is best for White Lakes and its residents. Having a policy that might work in other larger cities may not be the best for White Lakes. This current policy doesn't help the city and its citizens, it hurts them. If the council would like to implement some sort of anti-nepotism policy in the future, changes will need to be made. At this point in time, White Lakes has about 2,000 residents. Many people do not want to work within city departments, and others may not qualify for certain positions. This leaves the city with a very small pool in which to pull from. This does not occur in larger cities or smaller towns that have a vibrant economy and tax base. Because of this, a one-size-fits-all anti-nepotism policy does not fit within our city. This is especially true for part-time positions that require significant training and ongoing education, like bar EMTs and firefighters. The people in these positions do it because they care deeply about people's safety and well-being. They provide a significant amount of time and energy to the city while getting minimal compensation for it. We need to keep every current dedicated employee while keeping the door open for future employees. The fire department has a very limited number of firefighters and EMTs as it is. By terminating current employees of the fire department, which is what this current policy will do according to the city administrator, and putting even more restrictions on who can be on the fire department, we are putting ourselves in a bad spot. I'm sure there will be a time in the future when we will be in a desperate need for more firefighters and EMTs. This has happened before, but relatives of current department members have stepped up. The White Lakes Fire Department has a long and proud history of family members who have served on the fire department together. Had a blanket anti-nepotism policy been in effect in the past, Tony House would have never been able to be on the fire department and then eventually become our chief. Linda Stokes, who had talked earlier, would never have been allowed to be on the fire department because her husband, Steve Stokes, was the chief. I'm sure there are countless other examples going back to the formation of our city. These people have served our city with honor and have saved the lives of White Lakes residents in the process. Many fire departments are made up of people who are related to each other, which is a point of pride for families and the communities, as it should be. I feel that if someone is wanting to serve the city and is qualified in doing so, I think they should be hired, no matter who they are or are not related to. At this point, the policy seems to be punishing families and tradition rather than stopping favoritism. I could see a policy like this working in a larger city, like I said before, but in a small city like ours, lots of people know each other, are friends, and are related. It makes keeping positions filled by people who don't know each other difficult, if not impossible. Regarding nearby cities implementing anti-nepotism policies, we have reached out to Aurora's fire chief and who has spoken to the Aurora's city administrator. Their city administrator had not considered their fire department and how their future anti-nepotism policy may affect their city, as there are various family members that have and are currently serving on Aurora's fire department. According to them, they'll be consulting with their city attorney to make changes to their policy. Sounds like they're going to exclude part-time employees, which includes people on the fire department. I think our part-time employees should be excluded from our policy too. In this way, the fire department is not affected, as it will allow the continued tradition of family members serving the city together as firefighters and EMTs. Additionally, there are hiring practices in place already that address the issue of nepotism. In the fire department, we have several people who do the hiring. It's not left to the EMS director or fire chief alone. Additionally, our city has a personnel committee that deals with things like hiring employees. Again, that prevents a single person from making decisions regarding employees. In this way, I think the city is already addressing nepotism in the hiring process. Furthermore, I haven't heard any issues about systemic nepotism occurring in the city inside or outside of the fire department that has caused major issues now or in the past. The city has been able to operate, like they said, for about 70 years without having any sort of policy like this in place. Regarding the fire department, everyone went through this same exact hiring process as all the other EMTs and firefighters. Everyone had to take all the same classes, pass all the same tests to get certified. Everyone performs all the same job duties, gets paid the same, and are all required to work the same minimum amount of hours. This is all to say that I don't think there's anyone that has gotten or is getting preferential treatment in the fire department. I'm sure if you polled the members of the fire department currently, they would say the same. Becky, do you think anyone gets preferential treatment currently? No. How about you, Tom? No. Dudley? No. No?
We have a ethics committee, so if anything like that comes about,
Although I first and foremost am arguing for what is best for our city and its people, I also take this very personally. If I'm terminated as an EMT and firefighter, which are two positions that I care deeply about and take great pride in solely because I'm related to the EMS director, and not due to having a poor work ethic or making some sort of mistake, I will be profoundly offended and view this as a targeted personal attack. If any employee in the city is terminated due to this policy, I think we put the city at risk of being sued. Like I said earlier, I understand the reasoning for anti-nepotism policies. We just need to be strategic for how we have to implement them. For example, most employers will allow related employees to work within the same department, even if one is the department supervisor. They simply report to a different supervisor that may or may not be related to someone within the department. Using me, for example, I would be allowed to report to the Director Olmsted, but instead of report to someone like Assistant Director Hanson or Chief House. That's just an idea. In closing, it's a standard practice for most employers to not prevent potential new hires and advance an opportunities to people that are the most qualified, regardless of their blood relations. Again, this is especially true in small cities that have positions that require advanced qualifications. To pick on Chief House one more time, are you prepared to tell us children that they're not welcome to be future firefighters in White Lakes, even if we desperately need them to serve the city just because their father is the chief? If this policy is passed as is, then we will not only need to turn those children away, but many other children in the future and risk not having a fire.
The agriculture, have any comments?
Brendan mentioned something about an ethics committee there. Do you guys review every after action type incident?
What we do as a group. So if we have a fire call, we'll just say we have a structure fire in town, after we go back, if it's just a routine structure fire, the members that are on there will talk about it that night, and then usually it'll get brought up at a later business meeting, and we'll discuss, just what could have gone better, what went wrong, what went right. If it's like a critical incident, we might bring an outside group in. We've done in the past.
I know in the past, I've been going to meetings for many, many years. And Tony and Steve were the two chiefs at the time. And anytime there was disciplinary action, I was brought in when somebody was given either an oral or a written, warning for whatever it may be, lack of not making meetings, or most of the time, I believe that was pretty much it. It was they weren't attending meetings or weren't taking the number of calls they were supposed to be taking, so I was brought in to witness while Tony, or whatever, the captains or whatever. So we also do have a committee here on the council that oversees disciplinary actions. And my feeling is this, that I think it would be a good policy for the full-time employees. Do I think it's a fit all for everybody? No. Do I think it would fit the fire department? No, I think we can have some language in there to clarify this. If there was some disciplinary action that needed to be taken from somebody that was a son, daughter, brother, sister, or whatever. I think we have enough captains on the fire department that it can go to somebody else to address it. Can bring in the personnel committee from the council. And I don't think that this is a one size fits all policy. I do think that it's for full-time employees. If we're hiring, I do think that it's something that should be in place. Cause I do believe that when you're a full-time employee getting full benefits, that changes the dynamics of things. So my personal feeling is I would like to see the nepotism policy for full-time employees. But I don't think that it's necessary to have it for part-time employees. That's my feeling. Anybody else?
I think I voiced my thoughts over the course of a 10-minute speech, so I think I'm all spoken out, but I agree with that, and even with full-time employees, I think we should have sorts of workarounds, like if Kenny's the supervisor of public works and Jared wants to work for public works in the future and is trained and wanting to do that, I still think we should have some sort of workaround for that, I don't know. It just, like I said, I can understand having different policies, and I think they're a good thing. We don't want favoritism and those sorts of things in a city or in any sort of business, but I think we need to do a little thinking and problem solving with workarounds and ways to address them.
Yeah, and we have to start somewhere, so like I said, this was a draft, this is a starting point, this is a discussion point, we heard a lot of feedback from the people here. We all had some input and ideas too, so this is just a starting point to go from, and there's a lot of work still to be done and considered, so. Nothing that I would vote for to pass through today, anyway.
Do you wanna make a motion to? Move it. Stuart?
I was just gonna ask Mitch, have you ever seen it done before to where instead of being a policy like across the city, where it's more of a employment guideline, just kind of put some barriers up of if there's a problem with any kind of nepotism or special treatment, that there's some repercussions then?
It's done many different ways, and I've seen it done that way, I've seen it done where it's just applied to full-time and paid on call or part-time employees are exempt from it, so it really is, there's many different ways you can do it. It's all across the board, it's really completely up to city council discretion to decide what's the best fit for your, you're not required to have an anti-nepotism policy, it's not a legal requirement, a lot of organizations do have them. It's not legally required, but a lot of things do pass them and adopt them, but you can tailor make it, however, if you do decide to have some form of an anti-nepotism policy, you can tailor make it to however you feel it best fits for your city, government, your city employees, it's completely city council discretion to make that decision.
Or if you the city, you would recommend having one, or?
No, I don't think there's, I mean, there isn't really, no, I mean, I wouldn't make a firm recommendation either way, because it's really on a case by case basis. Like I say, a lot of organizations do have it, I think that the background that's provided in the agenda packet, I think where this really got to be kind of a firestorm in northeastern Minnesota was, people may remember this from a few years back, with St. Louis County Attorney Mark Rubin hired his son as assistant county attorney. And that created a huge blow up in St. Louis County, and I think that was kind of the catalyst for other political subdivisions to start passing these anti-nepotism policies. And I think what you heard about the background and why the East Range Public Safety Board felt it important because of the specific circumstances they had there, so. You know, we've never made a recommendation one way or the other, it really is completely council discretion, since it's not legally required. And the chief, whoever it may be, Tim now, they report to the public safety board.
Yes.
So if there was some sort of nepotism that was occurring, then the police department and obvious favoritism, something or other, it could be addressed there currently. So say, I don't know.
Yeah, that wouldn't be within the jurisdiction of this city council, that's done by the district policy. So that's a separate political something.
Right, so in a way they can already address things that are occurring currently.
And I think that we as a city, we already have a committee set up for anything that will go on. As far as disciplinary. my recommendation, I'd like to just, table this. Make a motion to table it right now.
I'll second that.
I made a motion to table, second by Counselor Grams. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 11-6 White Lake Fire Department request to utilize fire truck for White Lake Public Library summer reading prize.
I just, I had seen last summer in the state of Virginia did this for their reading kids. So what we requested of Tony, and Tony was willing, if the council is willing to approve. They reach, everybody who's participating, those that reach a certain level, with their parent commission will put their name in a drawing to get a ride to school in the fire truck in the fall. Cool. So that's
So you gonna do this on one day or?
just one child, yep, on whatever day works for the fire department and.
Yeah, I told Sue, just however she set it up, we'd make it work.
We just thought it might be a kind of fun incentive for kids.
It doesn't hurt to get those trucks out and run on the road either.
And I didn't specify 20, but the librarian just drove along to.
So what happens if the kid's not from town?
They have to be.
From town?
Yes. Well, the White Lakes or what, the school district.
That's true.
All right. We have a motion to approve.
I think that was.
Motion made by Councilor Borgard, support. Supported by Councilor Scott. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 11-7 White Lakes Ladies Golf League request to waive green fees for the 2024 Care Partners Tournament.
So this request came, through Councilor Beauregard as the liaison for the golf commission. Just so everyone is aware, we do shut down the golf course that day, and so there could be no other golfers during that tournament, so these green fees are with the golf cart rentals are the only money we pay for that entire day.
Yeah, this event does bring a lot of people to our course. A lot of people go to town. Issues that were brought up were that, maybe Dan can speak to this a little bit.
I will.
But.
So what Becky's talking about is any tournament, I don't care what golf course it is in the state of Minnesota. Anyone, you can check it. When there's a tournament, a fundraising tournament, anybody that bought a season ticket, naturally, we don't charge them an extra green fee because they got a season ticket. That's the way it is every place. Anybody that doesn't have a season ticket, we charge them a fee. And it says that's been doing that out here for 40 years, and almost any golf course in the country, that's the way it's done.
One caveat to that, a lot of golf courses have gone to where season ticket holders pay like $20 and everyone else pays $30, or it's a lesser fee.
I don't know that. I don't know of a golf course that does it, so I don't, so. But that's what we're talking about.
What's the daily fee?
20 some dollars.
You know, when we run the Dick Raddick tournament too, that's what we do, we charge more for non-season ticket holders, so if it's 50 for a season ticket holder and 60 or 65 for a non-ticket holder to cover those fees. So most of those golfers don't mind paying it because they know it's going to a good cause, so it's, they don't mind paying the extra fee because they're not a member.
And I think Doris's intention was this group's phenomenal. They're gonna be the parade, what do you call it?
Grand Marshal.
Grand Marshal. They've raised, I think after this year, when they're done, in 3 years, they've raised almost $50,000 for Care Partners for cancer to stay in the area. So I think what she was thinking, I talked to her, and I said, I can't help you, I'm in the middle here, but she could raise the tournament fee for everybody, so it wouldn't be so much. And then if she didn't, if the non-residents didn't have to pay that extra fee, I think that's what she's saying, so it could make more money for the charity. I think that's what she's saying. But it's very common practice. In call Virginia, it's very, very common. We've done it over 40 years, ever I've been around.
Charge the green fees.
No, yeah, to non-season ticket holders.
Right.
So,
I think if somebody's up for a charity, then they anticipate paying green fees.
for non,
Already.
yeah, there's not, they don't have a problem. The non-season tickets don't have a problem with that.
That's what I'm saying. I
Right,
don't think-
that's good. We do that and that's fine.
I think it's a great program. I think it helps a lot of local people. But I don't know that, us waiving the green fees is, we're closing down the golf course for the day.
You just approved $35,000 for the water company, it's about $400 in green.
No, we're just discussing.
Yeah, my company would be on the other side, we help out a lot of different companies within kind of services, but not companies, but different organizations. And they're basically asking for in-kind services of $400.
Right.
I understand the precedent in whole
That's
other,
what
other events,
So there's
I would like to
precedent
see
set for other tournaments.
linked to 501c3s or something like that, to where we know it's a charitable organization.
So you'd approve with the contingency that they submit their 501c3?
I guess that's where my thought is, I don't know what the other council members think.
I don't know, I just worry, I support this tournament, I donate this isn't about this tournament in particular, just if we waive the fee out there for one, it sets the precedent to waive it for all, which might be fine, we might be okay with that, I'm just trying to talk it through and work out all the kinks before we approve anything. Do we wanna give up all those green fees for every tournament we hold, even though they're not paid for by the tournament? People who are hosting the tournament, they're paid for, members playing, don't receive the ticket. And there's been no complaints to my 20 years of doing the Dick Rat Tie, they're more than happy to pay that fee because they know it's going.
I've never received a complaint from a non-season ticket person to pay it. I never have. They expect it. But I think, I told you the Doris's intent, I think, was she can raise her fee for everybody to get rid of that, so it's not so much for everybody. I think that was her intent.
And this does bring a lot of non-residents to our course.
30, 40 out of 80 golfers, like that. I mean, it depends. Every tournament's different.
Yeah, it's a lot of locals.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of local, I mean, it's the majority is local people, the majority is local people.
But this also causes all of our carts to go out for the day.
We rent all our carts.
Yeah, they get rented.
Not only that, I have to find about 20 members to give me their carts, and then I pay them because we don't have enough carts.
Do you see, maybe you don't know this, do you see these people come back at all throughout the year?
They come back year after year. If you can ask Sherry, we run the rat tie. It's the same people for the last 20 some years.
But do those people come back later in the year in golf, or is it just for this one scramble and then they never come back again, or? Is it exposure to our course and getting more people to come here and come back again?
Any one of these tournaments almost serves as a reunion.
But
Yeah.
throughout the year, they come
But
back.
throughout the year, they come back. I know the people at the rat, I see all those nuts, they come, 3-4 times a year, sure.
It reminds me of a discussion we had about, arts and crafts last year, where we were saying, well, it should be free for everyone, and we said, well, if we give everything for free, where are we collecting the fees from? And then Mitch's company said, hey, I'll sponsor any fees, go ahead and not charge, I'll pay for them. I know there's groups out there, if Doris was uncomfortable raising the fee, that would donate to help her cover this cost. They would say, here's the money to cover the green fees for the non-residents, don't worry about charging them. I just don't know if we have to, start a precedent to waive them for all tournaments.
We've been doing it for 40 years, and we've already set that precedent. Oh, I haven't changed. I'm under kind of the idea that if something's not broken, we'll fix it, so I would go ahead with moving it on down.
We've never approved it before. Right, they've always paid, never used what we're saying. For 40 years, anyone who doesn't have a pass, they pay the extra fee to play in the tournament. Yeah, this is, and it's never been an issue with the host or the golf course manager that people have complained about paying. I think Doris is worried about raising the cost of insurance. That's her concern, but I know there's a couple companies already that have said, well, if she doesn't wanna charge that, we'll cover that fee. You don't have to waive it, they'll cover that.
Great, anybody else have anything? Is there a motion that anybody would like to make? You don't hear any? Well, 11/8 is, application to conduct off-site gambling by the White Lakes Chamber of Commerce at Fisherman's Point Campground between June 15th, 2024 and August 10th, 2024.
And it is just those 2 dates, there's just nowhere to differentiate this one and, so it is just those 2 separate dates on there.
And that's
The chamber,
Chamber.
gambling at Fisherman's Point.
okay. Is there a motion to approve?
That was
Motion made by Beauregard and support. Support by Councilor Scott. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 11/9, LPE 555, lawful gambling donation from the VFW post number 8144 to be utilized by the Garden Club.
The VFW has donated money to the garden club, and so that is, we take it in and then issue it out to the garden.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion made by Councilor Scott, is there support?
Support.
Support by Councilor Grant. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 11/10, Ranger ATV Snowmobile Club pay request number 2 for the Moose 7 Beavers Trail from Guava to Skygo, an amount of $76,785.15.
Just a reminder, this is an LCCMR grant that the city is the fiscal agent for, and so Drilla and SOP does the work, they bill us, and then we get reimbursed from LCCMR.
Is there a motion to approve? I'll make that motion. Is there support?
I'll support.
Motion made by Mayor Zan, supported by Councilor Beauregard. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 11/11 is recommendation to hire for the arts and crafts instructor.
Jill Ekman applied for a returning arts and crafts instructor this year, and I think she's done such a wonderful job of hiring again.
Is there a motion to approve?
Make that motion.
Motion made by Councilor Grant. I'll support that. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 11/12, recommendation to hire for the arts and crafts assistant.
So we reviewed the arts and crafts assistant, and the recommendation is to hire Alexi for the position.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Anybody, motion made by Councilor Beauregard, is there support?
I'll support.
Support by Councilor Grant. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Recommendation for hire for summer seasonal students in public works, public utilities, recreation, and golf course.
I will add an asterisk and clerk's office.
Okay. You better read these names now.
No.
All right, is there a motion to approve the hiring of seasonal students students for public works, public utilities, recreation, golf course, and city hall.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Counselor Scott, is there support?
I'll support it.
Supported by Counselor Beauregard, any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 11:14, recommendation to hire golf course assistant greenkeeper and fall mower.
So the recommendation is to hire Doug Ross for the assistant beekeeper and Paul Peace and Chris Veland for fall mowers. That they typically take over once the summer students left.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Counselor Graham, any support?
I'll support.
Supported by Counselor Scott. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 15, arts and crafts program for summer program of 2024.
So I spoke with our instructor from last year and she indicated that this is was a great way to set it up. She kind of has some fluidity between the younger group and the older group, depending on which group they fit better with. And so, the recommendation would be to post this again for openings. It would be $35 for the first child, $25 for additional children with a family maximum of $75. The council did pass those fees during last fall's, fee schedule passing. It's first come, first served with a maximum of 25 children in the 4 to 8-year-old group and 20 children in the 9 to 12-year-old group. That helps keep things manageable between the instructor and the assistant.
Is there a motion to approve?
Make that motion.
Motion made by Counselor Beauregard, is there support? Supported by Counselor Graham. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next council meeting will be Tuesday, May 28th, 2024 at 5:30. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Counselor Graham, is there support?
I'll support that.
Supported by Counselor Scott, all those in favor?